Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3 to 4:30 p.m. session of the 2022 Open Simulator Community Conference. For this session, we're pleased to introduce the presentation, Using 3D Environments for Soft Skills Training. Our speakers are Bruce Gross, also known as Cooper Swizzle, and Carla Kincard-Yoshikawa. Bruce ran a 5-year 3D-based training program before retiring. Carla has worked as an organization development and training consultant for many years. Please check out the website found at conference.opensimulator.org for speaker bios, details, and sessions, and the full schedule of events. The session is being live streamed and recorded, so if you have questions or comments during this session, you may send tweets to @OpenSimCC with the hashtag #OSCC22. Welcome, everyone, and let's begin the session.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Carla Kincard-Yoshikawa, and we're not sure how widely this term soft skills training is used generally, but in corporate training, it's applied to training on topics that involve some sort of personal introspection and behavior change. We find 3D environments particularly valuable for this kind of training. Operating as an avatar seems to provide people with one degree of separation from their real selves, and that separation makes it easier for them to try out new roles, make mistakes, and laugh about it, hopefully together with others, and learn from mistakes without feeling humiliated or embarrassed.
Soft skills we've taught in 3D include effective leadership, communication skills, topics related to team building, and learning to conduct effective interviews, as well as courses on sexual harassment that cover both the legal and behavioral issues.
Bruce and I first started working together to update his company's leadership development curriculum. At that time, the company used a combination of in-person training and webinar-based refresher courses for their leadership program. But we were both interested in the possibilities offered by 3D environments for learning.
I was tired of all the travel I had to do. I was flying to the training locations where managers from all over the country would gather for week-long saturation trainings on leadership. They'd go back to work and deal with all the tasks and issues that had piled up. Needless to say, they didn't start to utilize many of the new leadership practices we'd covered, which was frustrating for upper management, wasteful for the company, and exhausting and depressing for me.
Bruce and I started developing and trying out some ideas for training in 3D on our own time.
At the same time, I started talking to people at work about the cost savings and new possibilities offered by substituting some of the face-to-face trainings with 3D training. People at my company knew nothing about 3D, and they were very skeptical when I mentioned it. They could only see it as a game. Since Carla and I had already started setting up some courses in 3D, I decided to use the material by sharing my screen in webinars as I walked through the course material. Participants followed along with me, and they told me they felt present with me in the 3D world. From the beginning, I noticed 3D webinars seemed to generate more interactivity and discussions. People then at the company began to get interested in what 3D could offer.
It took a while, but Bruce was finally able to get approval from the president of the company to do a 3D proof of concept training program. Just a quick question to all of you. How long do you think it took for the company to finally agree to try this out? He started talking about it in 2010. Just type your answers into chat. I see 3 years.
Okay, for time's sake, it only took 2 years, thank God. Even though at the start of the training, management and those who attended were skeptical, and by the end of the proof of concept, 3D had proven its value to all of them.
For the proof of concept, we adapted a 36-hour in-person training program to one that was presented in 3D on Mondays and Fridays for 6 weeks. with assignments for them to use the topics covered each week and report on the outcomes each Friday. As a result of that schedule, participants found opportunities to put new concepts into practice week by week, which increased long-term utilization and retention. Interactive and experiential activities and discussions are all very important for adult learning, and it's easy to set up training that incorporates these elements in 3D environments. But when participants are new to 3D, we found we have to be careful about how much we expect them to do initially if we want them to stay focused on the content of the training.
We set up training so participants only need to walk, talk, and click at the beginning. And we rely heavily on discussions for early sessions. Little by little, we add other ways for participants to find and use the course content. On my right, your left, and if you're in World, zoom in on it, is an example of how we might cover something in an early session. Take a look at those two people sitting on the bench. Do you think this scene depicts sexual harassment? Type Y for yes, N for no, and question mark for maybe. For those of you who think it's yes or maybe, type an F for female and an M for male on who you think is the harasser. In class, we hold discussions with participants that reveal how the same scene can be interpreted in many different ways, which is an important point when it comes to understanding sexual harassment. And we make sure to discuss a few key points about this scenario. For example, notice where the characters are sitting on the bench. The woman is very close to the man and he has no room to move away. Does he look happy? Notice he doesn't make eye contact with her, is jiggling his foot and tapping his fingers.
We think this is a maybe, and the woman is the possible harasser. We've been surprised that sometimes no one considers the woman as the possible harasser, but for us that opens a great discussion about bias and preconceptions. You can see the same scenario with a slightly different twist at our booth in Expo 3, booth 13, so we hope you'll drop by there. This slide shows another way we make learning easy for our 3D participants who are new to 3D. Here, they walk along a path which triggers the appearance of pop-up screens. They identify something about the information in each pop-up by clicking a button on the granite slab and receive a nearby chat message telling them if their choice is correct or not. This kind of activity can be used with a group in real time or synchronously, or for self-paced or asynchronous learning processes.
We focus on keeping people moving literally as they move through the curriculum. Not only is it more engaging for them, but it makes it almost impossible for the participants to get sidetracked. If they stop to read emails or respond to other interruptions, they're likely to look back at the 3D world and find themselves alone as the group has moved on to other locations. We provide orientations to all attendees prior to training and do a quick review at the start of the first class. Then we have them walk and click objects and characters to find basic course information.
We also use the terrain to set the context, reinforce concepts, and sometimes limit the visual aspects of their surroundings. The scenes on this slide are in a moat underwater, and participants can only see the objects and information we want them to focus on and discuss. This can be important to do at any time during a course, but seems most important in the early stages as people are getting used to being in 3D. Here are some typical settings we use. Nature settings, a gondola tour where information is provided by the tour guide with stops for a content-related scavenger hunt, an office building, or a conference room for group discussions.
Our learning activities are set up for both synchronous learning with group activities and for people to come in individually to explore on their own.
We use various kinds of quizzing to help participants use and retain information and to catalyze more discussion. The top image shows an outdoor movie theater screen, which presents scenarios with questions participants answer by clicking boxes in front of them. This is done in real time to fully explore participant interpretations and to present relevant legal interpretations of what they see. Sensitive or ambiguous topics like sexual harassment really need to be done using synchronous facilitated discussions.
Bottom image shows a gallery of true-false questions. When a response is chosen, whether it be true or false, the answer will appear, letting them know the correct answer and the legal reasons behind it. When we use these types of quizzes for both, asynchronous and synchronous training. We also create game-based activities that require the participants use concepts for teaching. In this training focused on delegation, we cover the theory and basic principles using the book at the entrance and key concepts posted along the path they followed to the activity.
The bridge leads to the activity. As they walk across, each character they encounter is a manager describing an employee they want to delegate a task to and explaining what leadership style they plan to use based on the characteristics of the employee and the leadership principles that have been covered.
At the end of the bridge, there's a slide with information on how to play the game. To play, they drag the boxes lined up at the front of the game area onto one of the 4 platforms in the back. Once they put 4 boxes related to employee characteristics and leadership behavior on each, the back of the platform will change to a message of either congratulations or try again.
This game generates a lot of learning as people figure out how employee characteristics and leadership behaviors fit together. It can be effective for individuals to come in and work through on their own, and we've used it as both a collaborative and a competitive activity with people working in teams. In our behavioral interviewing course, we use a combination of characters and posted material to provide course content. In this image, the nearby chat message is from the character who is talking about types of interview questions that don't work. As participants move through the building, the characters and posted information begin to tell them more about how to frame effective questions.
Teaching behavioral interviewing in 3D is an effective way for people to practice interviewing. Participants told us that when they did both practice and real interviews in person, they focused so much on their own and the candidate's body language, they didn't pay enough attention to the answers in their questions. Training in 3D, which lacks real nonverbal behavior, helps participants practice effective listening and learn to respond in the moment with good follow-up questions.
In this image, the 2 people in the center are doing an interview role play while the others observe and then give feedback. Each participant will take a turn as an interviewer, a candidate, and an observer. In this class and in others, we find participants are much more comfortable in role plays and more willing to provide honest feedback and suggestions to colleagues as avatars in 3D, certainly more than in webinars and even more than in real life. It goes back to that 1 degree of separation we mentioned earlier, which is a real advantage for this kind of training.
Finally, here's another tool we use. On the stage, to my left, your right, we've set up a scenario from our leadership training in which a manager is asking for advice from peers about a difficult situation. We present the question and 3 possible solutions in speak bubbles, which makes it easy for participants to compare the choices. They're directed to click on an object, the question mark that you can see on the back of the screen behind me. This opens up a pop-up from which they select the best solution and receive immediate feedback about their choice.
These are some of the tools and techniques we use to teach adults about topics that are important to their professional goals, but can touch on personally sensitive issues for them.
In other words, they have to face the fact that they're doing something wrong in order to find the motivation to change. This is a lot easier to handle as an avatar in a picturesque virtual world. We thank you for attending today. Come visit us in Expo Region 3, Booth 13 to learn more about us and training in the 21st century.
We hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you'd like to set up a time to talk with us about other things we're doing or exchange ideas and strategies for learning activities in 3D, send us an email so we can set up a time to talk. And we're looking forward to connecting with some of the other presenters that we've found very intriguing today later too. So does anyone have any questions for us now? I think we have a few minutes left.
Ran asks a question, do you leverage other builds across Second Life for your environments or build everything on your own sim? We do everything in Kitely. And we can speak about that later if you'd like, Ran. Anyone else?
All right, well, it's a very interesting presentation, everyone. Thank you, Bruce and Carla, for an informative and interesting presentation. As a reminder to our audience, you will want to check out the conference.opensimulator.org to see what is coming up on the conference schedule. You won't want to miss our next session, which will begin at 4 p.m. in this keynote region and is entitled Virtual World Use Examples in the Multiverse. We also encourage you to visit OSCC22 Poster Expo in the OSCC Expo 3 region to find accompanying information on presentations and explore the hypergrid resources in OSCC Expo 2 region, along with the sponsor and crowdfunder booths located throughout all the OSCC Expo regions. Thank you again to our speakers and to the audience. Please continue to ask questions while we have available time.